whole new opportunities opening up for Matthew, even though it seemed to be a small step in which Matthew just held up his hand for that first response. It was a tremendous step for him, well, his parents also, because we saw that we could do so many things with Matthew then. It was really a start and a building block.
Like first got to the river, I promised myself the first thing I'm going to listen to is George Michael's song, Harry's Whisper. I love that song. As soon as I got home, put the TV on, put the TV, and my father said, "Hi, Jim, hi, Dad," be quiet when he heard it. I put the TV up and like, oh, and tears coming down my face. It's the sweetest thing of my heart. I had no idea what music sounds today.
From a mother's standpoint, the first thing I wanted Buck to hear was to say, "I love you." And his dad felt the same way. So that made it a pretty tender moment, needless to say. Even though I know realistically Buck probably didn't understand verbally with the sound what I had said. It was a fact that he heard something. And I had never ever really thought that would be a possibility up until the time that we had heard about the cochlear implant. So it was pretty special.
School, I spent maybe 2-3 periods a day practicing. I'll have speech reading, I'll have listening, but I'm not allowed to speech read. And my teacher would try all different kinds of things, and they try to trick me now.
There's a lot of training that goes along with the rehab procedure for the implant. A lot of the training is done by the audiologist. A lot of the training is done by the speech pathologist. But from my point of view, I think most of the training goes on at home because you're with your child most of the time, and certainly you're working along with the audiologist and the speech pathologist to find out what you need to do at home. But I think it really takes a committed, supportive family to get the most out of the implant.
You have to trick Jeanette. Okay, so it's not a matter of that I sit down with her. I'll go from room to room calling her, asking her questions like, Jeanette, are you in the kitchen? Or, Jeanette, could you bring me the telephone? Or, Jeanette, bring me a blouse. And that's how I have to work with Jeanette. I have to trick her. I find it much easier than to sit down at the table with her.
We've tried to make it fun. It's been a lot of work, but we've tried to make it fun too. It's a delicate touch, and if it, I guess we've tried to make it more fun than work.
Yeah, don't get frustrated, or don't frustrate your child either. Don't drop the signs right away because he or she, if they're signing, because he or she doesn't understand what you're saying yet. So continue using the signing, and if you want to drop it later on, go right ahead. But don't frustrate the child, and don't you get frustrated if you've worked on something for 3, 4, 5, 6 months that maybe your child isn't understanding what you're saying, because all of a sudden they'll pick it up like it's old hat, like they've known it forever.
You just have to be careful that you don't drive, spill anything on it. You don't know 2 things you have to really watch out for.
The cleaning of it is difficult because you get jams and jellies, everything else that falls on a 4-year-old, and they're upside down, and anything else can happen. But we've been pretty lucky so far with the unit. Jamie is conscious of it, and she'll ask if she can have it off at times. So it's worked out pretty well for us.
It was darker. I took an elbow pad and I put it over it. That way simply flies it won't cut themselves. I played soccer, football, and I played softball, and I took my receiver and I put it in the pack. That way if I send it into home base when I play, I doesn't really bother me. If I play sports, I'll put it down my shoe like it is if I'm flapping. But most parents, when I told to them, they're like, you had an operation for Bob, I didn't know. I suppose if somebody was telling about the operation, she was really, really interested, but she could I can see the light, and Tabby can see the light, but people don't believe the light that I have the hearing aid here in Pakistan here. The boy that comes with me down by these things. I'm noticing things I never noticed before. I notice it now. I can understand myself better. Over there, that when people didn't understand me, over there, that I was either talking too fast, or I was talking loud enough, or I was mumbling like shit. But I noticed that my speech is improving. And not only because people tell me so, but because I can hear myself now. And I know whether or not I'm talking too loud or too long.
All my friends tell me that it's simple, they can understand me better. I used to run all my words together in one sentence, talk really fast. But I don't do that anymore. Sometimes maybe, but I try not to.
Before she stayed closer to the house. Now, I can't find her. I have to look for the red light. I go out and I look for the red light, I can find her. She goes out a lot now. She's lost the fear.
As Jane was saying, the great intangible in all of this is the one that probably can't be documented is that Jamie's so much happier now. And it is an intangible. It's not a number that you can point to, but she has been much more comfortable with herself and just knowing that she's always known that something's going on, because if the doorbell rings, she sees people go up and get the doorbell, and if we don't tell her, she doesn't really know what's going on. But now maybe she can hear the doorbell, and she's included in the conversation just from the fact that she knows that something's going on. So it's made her much happier.
My biggest concern was to see Jeanette happier, all right? And communicate more with us, be a bigger part of the family. When we would sit around the table at night, my husband, my son, Jeanette, and she was just totally lost. You would always find her with a book. You know? And I really felt hopefully by having the surgery, Jeanette would pay more attention to us. You know, she would be a bigger part of the family, which since the surgery she is. I mean, her head spins from person to person to see who's talking and what's going on.
Put yourself in our position. Jamie's down the street running the other direction. The alternative was to go track her down and get a hold of her, and that doesn't make her a very happy child.
We've each gained
Or
10
parent.
pounds
Yeah,
since the implant.
But now we can simply call her name, and of course, like any child, she'll turn around if she wants to, but she does know that we're talking to her and we're calling her name. So she can be running away, and we can stop her, and we don't have to run after her all the time. It's terrific.
I think it brings us back a little bit towards normality. I don't know, that may be a poor choice of words, but I feel a little bit more normal, like the other dads, the other fathers. I don't say that in a negative way, because Matthew, I think he'd be successful with or without his implant. But it's still, it's just so important as far as from a psychological standpoint. It makes me feel so much more relaxed. I feel better about Matthew. I don't have to worry quite as much about Matthew, say his future, because we can see that this is going to provide him with things that before we did not think that he could possibly do.